Hey, good afternoon, America. Welcome to the Dead Doctors Don't Lie radio program. I'm Pharmacist Ben, sitting in for Doc today. It's great to have you with us. We'll be taking your phone calls here in just a bit if you have questions about medications, supplements, or the longevity products, or if you have a success story or a comment that you'd like to share. We'd love to hear from you. Our phone number today and every day on the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program is 831-685-1080. That's priority line number. 831-685-1080 or toll-free 888-379-2552, 888-379-2552. For you guys in the Santa Cruz area, in the Bay Area, I'll be doing a talk at the Vintage Faith Church tomorrow, Friday, March the 7th at the Vintage Faith Church at 6:30 p.m. For you guys in the Bay Area, I'd love to see you. Stop by and say hello at Vintage Faith Church in Santa Cruz this Friday, March the 7th, 6:30 p.m. All right, so I thought I'd talk a little bit about hypertension today. We just missed National Heart Health Month last month, February, not by much, but hypertension is certainly a major marker for heart disease. Last month, the Joint National Committee on Prevention, Detection, Evaluation, and Treatment of High Blood Pressure, which is supported by the federal government, made up of doctors, many of whom are on the drug company payrolls. No surprise there. The Joint National Committee came out with new dispensing guidelines for prescription medication to treat high blood pressure. That's how it works, folks. When you take a prescription drug, the dosages and the dosage forms and the types of medication that you're being prescribed are all set up by committees and agencies made up of representatives and advocates for those folks who are selling the prescription drugs. The folks who are selling the prescription drugs tell the doctors how to use the prescription drugs, and it's all set up so doctors don't have to do anything but read a chart in a book and then maybe do a couple of adjustments for your height and weight, and you're good to go. The doctor makes money for seeing you, the drug company and pharmacy makes money for drugging you, and the insurance companies make money for insuring you, and it's all constructed by the government, by government committees. And then, of course, we all pay for it. And insurance is picking up the tab. For those of us not taking drugs, we're all still paying for it through our taxes. That's what Obamacare is really about. Another way to move precious resources from our pockets to theirs. It's income redistribution. It's not in our interest. It's in the economic interests of those who are selling us products, and it's even worse, it's not in our health interest. In any case, this National Joint Committee has come out with new guidelines for how your doctor is going to treat high blood pressure. Instead of medicating you if your blood pressure is 140/80, now it's suggested that doctors wait until your pressure goes to 150/90. This is for patients over the age of 60. For patients under 60, the guidelines still recommend medicating at 140/90. As an aside, not all doctors agree, and some aren't very happy. At least one doctor, Dr. Samuel Mann of New York's Presbyterian Hospital, writing an editorial in the Huffington Post, says the old guidelines were fabulously successful. Those are his words, fabulously successful, and they shouldn't be changed. What gets lost in this argument about whether you medicate at 140 or you medicate at 150 or you medicate at 90 or 80, what gets lost in this argument is really the same old trick, philosophical trick that used car salespeople do. It's where we assume things about our argument and then proceed as if they were true. That's called begging the question. It's like when a car salesman asks you what color you want your car before you told them you even wanted the car. They make it sound as if you already agreed to buy the car. In the case of this particular argument, whether we medicate at 140/80 or 150/90, what gets lost is, why the heck do we need drugs at all? Who says that you treat high blood pressure with prescription medication? Where did this come about, that if you have hypertension, you automatically get put on a drug, and it's only a question of how high your blood pressure has to go before you get drugged? Now, of course, nobody's arguing whether hypertension is a problem or not. It clearly is a problem, especially as we get older. Our blood pressure, our circulatory system becomes weaker, and blood pressure can put undue force on our plumbing. But how high is a problem is anyone's guess. What exactly constitutes high blood pressure is an individual determination. You can't treat individual determinations. You can't make an individual determination based on guidelines. And high blood pressure doesn't occur in a vacuum. It has a cause. The body doesn't just randomly mess around with the circulatory system for no reason. So let's say hypothetically that 150/90 is officially high blood pressure. Does that necessarily mean that you need drugs to treat it? Does having high blood pressure automatically mean that our only treatment option is a prescription drug? This is the hidden message in these guidelines. This is the implicit meaning. And this is what the vast majority of Americans believe. Not just doctors, but patients as well, that pharmacological therapy is the only effective treatment for hypertension. Why else would we willingly swallow a poison? Why else would we unquestioningly assume that this is how it is done? Well, it doesn't have to be done this way, folks. If doctors are truly interested in our health, and if the government is truly interested in our health, after all, they're called the Department of Health and Human Services. By the way, it's now officially a $1 trillion agency, the first $1 trillion agency in government history. If the government and doctors are really interested in our health, where's the non-toxic options? Where's the non-poisonous options? Where are the healthy options? High blood pressure drugs, antihypertensive medications are among the most toxic medications of all pharmaceuticals. The body regulates its blood pressure very tightly. It doesn't just go up and down for no reason. There are many, many fail-safe mechanisms for blood vessels opening and closing in different parts of the body, all designed to control the blood pressure. There's organs in the brain, or structures in the brain. There's sensors throughout the body, especially in the kidney and the liver and the adrenal glands, for keeping the whole thing regulated. Maybe we should be figuring out why our blood pressure is high, is elevated, instead of forcing our body to comply to doctor's orders. One of the main reasons is going to be stress, either emotional stress, mental stress, or physical stress, degenerative disease, cloggy, sticky blood from long-term digestive problems, problems with blood sugar, problems with insulin, sedentary lifestyle, breathing problems, obesity. These are all anatomical, physiological, biochemical causes of hypertension that we can control ourselves, without doctors, without drugs, without insurance companies. And then, of course, there's wonderful nutritional supplements that you can use too. Magnesium, get on the Mighty 90. Use the essential fatty acids, the Cardio FX from Longevity. These are all wonderful strategies, non-toxic strategies that you can use to lower your blood pressure without even having to go visit a physician or a doctor. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program on the ZBS Radio Network. We're coming back with more good health information after this. Our number's 831-685-1080 or 888-379-2552. Toll free. Don't go away. We'll be back right after this. Sitting in for the next 44 minutes or so with my good friend, longtime good friend, and colleague Douglas Winfrey. Greetings, Douglas.
Good to have you back on the show.
Thank you.
I saw this Fox News story, and it made me think immediately of you, as the headline reads, "Eating large amounts of meat, cheese may be as deadly as smoking," a study shows. And this was done at the University of Southern California and published in the journal Cell Metabolism. And they say, could a diet rich in meat and cheese be just as deadly as smoking cigarettes? New research says that consuming high levels of animal proteins could be detrimental to a person's health. They said that animal protein elevates levels of a growth hormone called IGF-1 in the human body. In children, it helps promote growth and development, but in adulthood, high levels of the hormone have been linked to an increased risk for cancer and other age-related disease. And I kind of took a little bit of exception with that last part of that line, age-related disease. And it goes to that myth that just because you get older, you're going to automatically get some sort of disease, because being old is part of being disease-ridden, and that's just not true.
That's how people look at it. You know, IGF-1, by the way, is a marker for insulin, and meat and cheese are not really insulin-spiking foods, but you know why insulin and IGF-1 go up when people eat a lot of meat? Because the animals are given IGF-1. So you're eating the animal IGF-1, as nobody knows really if you're eating the animal IGF-1 or if it's your own IGF-1. The fact is, though, Douglas, the really important point that I take from what you just said is that insulin's a problem. IGF-1 is a marker for insulin. They're basically synonymous, at least in terms of markers. And when your IGF-1 is high, your insulin is high, and we know good and well that insulin is associated with heart disease. Insulin's a really big problem, and keeping your insulin down is really the way that you want to control, or the way you want to protect yourself from cardiovascular health issue. And keeping your insulin down doesn't really have anything to do with eating meat and cheese. It has a lot to do with eating the crap that most of us eat, which is the processed food and the breads and the pastas and the rices and the potatoes. And you know what, Doug? I don't know if you run into this. Tell me what you think. When you talk to people about restricting their intake of refined and processed carbohydrates, the breads and the pastas and the grains and those kinds of things, do you get a lot of resistance? Do people seem to be not want to hear that?
There's a few, and one of the things I learned from Dr. Wallach several years ago is that when you start talking health to people, if they're not open to it, it's sort of like that old adage of that you shouldn't, talk politics and religion in a bar because you're never going to change anybody's opinion, and generally what happens is tempers flare and problems happen. And I find this subject is the same, that people either are interested, and what really surprises me are the people that will come to me knowing that I've got a background in healthcare, having worked on this radio show for over 15 years, doing daily research on health-related topics. I'll have people come up to me and they'll ask me a question on some health-related thing. And if it doesn't jibe with what their doctor told them, then they start arguing with me. And then and I'm like, well, why did you ask if you didn't want my opinion? If my opinion is going to differ from that of your doctor, and you get the typical, well, my doctor went to Stanford, and why wouldn't he know this? And I'm like, because Stanford doesn't know it. It's just insane. This medical model that we're locked into, that the mainstream medical doctors are the only route to health at all. And they're actually the worst route to health.
Douglas, you can't teach a pig to sing. It's a waste of time, and you're just going to annoy the pig.
That's right.
I didn't mean that.
And I was when I saw this study, I also kind of was curious because there was a study that came out way back in the 80s by a guy, I believe his name was Stephen B. Hawley, out of University of San Diego, and he did a study and found that if you eat well-done meat, it increases your risk of cancer by 400%. And so my question would be, what kind of meat are these people eating, and how well is it cooked?
That's right.
And so that's another factor.
Well, we know that there's these substances called HCAs, stands for heterocyclic amines, or you can just say HCAs, that are produced when you burn protein. And that really is a problem. And if you're going to be grilling your meat and charbroiling your meat, and everybody likes charbroiled meat, use mushrooms, use onions, put perhaps cruciferous vegetables, maybe slice up some Brussels sprouts or some broccoli on top of the meat, and you can get yourself some protection. Tomatoes also can be protective against these HCAs. All right, we got more to say, got more good health information for you on the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program. Our number is 831-685-1080 or 888-379-2552, toll free if you want to get on board. Now's the time to do it. I'm Pharmacist Ben, along with Doug Winfrey. We'll be back on the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program right after this. We'll get your calls here in our next segment. What else do you got for us, Douglas?
Well, I found a story here. This was from Reuters, where the headline reads, "Doctors' key source of pain pills for chronic abusers." And they're talking about these opioids. So government researchers found that nearly 1 in 3 high-use abusers, that's people who take opioids at least 200 to 365 days each year, obtained a doctor's prescription for the drugs, compared to 1 out of 5 of those who use the drug less than 30 days over the course of a year. High users were also 3 times more likely to buy these drugs from dealers. This comes from an article in the Journal of American Medical Association's Internal Medicine. He said the less frequent users were more likely to obtain the narcotics from people who knew people that they knew, at least, like a friend or a relative. And they said compared to high-use users, they were 62% versus 26%. And it was interesting that they come out with this study and some quotes from the lead author, which is Christopher Jones, former head of the CDC's prescription drug overuse team. And is that this all comes on the heels of the FDA approving a drug called Zohydro, which is a high-potency prescription opioid from Zogenix. And there's even doctors are even saying that they should pull it off the market, and it just got approved.
Strong?
Yeah, it's way too strong. They're really worried about abuse.
It's the super opiate. Is that what they're calling it?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
It's basically a high-powered Vicodin. I'm not a big believer, as you know. I don't like the idea of using prescription drugs for degenerative diseases, and I can't even remember the last time I took a prescription drug. But I'll tell you what, when I had my knee surgery a couple of years ago, I was very, very glad that they had morphine, and I can kind of see how folks can really, if you're in pain, you'll do anything to get out of it. And I believe that every good medicine cabinet should have some pain pills. But like all prescription drugs, man, you are playing with fire once you start to mess around with these things. When it comes to the opiates, I've never been addicted to a substance, but can you imagine anything more miserable than to be addicted to a prescription drug that you have to go to a doctor or somehow obtain illegally? Can you imagine what that must be like for folks? They have to have the stuff, but they can't get it unless they lie or cheat or steal. And it almost the drug almost compels people to do these kinds of behaviors and to run risks of going afoul of the law. And it's just very, very unfortunate. If you are dealing with chronic pain, there are alternatives. They're not nutritional alternatives necessarily, although there is something called DLPA. Have you ever heard of this, Doug? D-L-phenylalanine,
no,
DLPA, that a lot of folks tout as being helpful for pain. If you're dealing with inflammatory pain, though, you might want to check out the CM cream and the CM products, acetyl myristoyl products from Longevity. They're very effective for inflammatory types of pain. All right, I'm Pharmacist Ben. You are listening to the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program. We're going to come back and take your phone calls at 831-685-1080 or 888-379-2552, toll free. Got more good stuff for you coming up on the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program on the ZBS Radio Network. Time to get our first phone call of the day. Who's first, Douglas?
Let's head to Alabama. And Patricia, you're on with Pharmacist Ben Fuchs.
What's up, Patricia?
How you doing?
Doing well. What's going on?
I am calling because I have blood clots and I'm taking Coumadin.
I'm sorry, you say that again. Patricia, I didn't hear. You have what? Oh, blood clots. Okay, go ahead. I got that.
Right, and I'm taking Coumadin.
Okay.
And I have pain. I'm on pain meds for degenerative joint disease.
Okay.
And I also have 2 bulging discs.
Oh, my goodness, Patricia. You're falling apart there on us, girl. Here's a couple ideas for you, okay? Number one, the warfarin or the Coumadin, the blood thinner, as important as it is not going to help your degenerative disc disease any. In fact, it's going to probably make things worse. So stay on that as long as you need, but get off it as soon as you don't need it anymore. In fact, you should probably tell your doctor you want to get off it as soon as possible. That's the first thing. Warfarin and Coumadin, really all prescription drugs are going to keep the body from healing and keep the body from regenerating, but warfarin and Coumadin are particularly nefarious drugs. Even drug companies recognize that, and they've come up with a whole new class of less toxic versions of warfarin and Coumadin. So that's another thing you might want to ask your doctor about. As far as rebuilding that disc goes, there's a lot of things that you could do. Make sure you're getting enough protein for one. Make sure you're on the Mighty 90. If you're not using that Mighty 90, you're really missing the boat. If your body's starting to degenerate, the Mighty 90, you can't build tissue without the Mighty 90, and that means the Healthy Start Pack, the Beyond Tangy Tangerine, is very important, as are the Ultimate Essential Fatty Acids. Here's a mantra. This is one of my favorite mantras in all of health and nutrition. You can't make protein without fats. And that means specifically essential fats, the kind of fats that you need to get in your diet or through supplements. You're not going to be able to make protein without fats. If your body is degenerating, that means it's not making protein. And degenerative disc disease, all degenerative diseases, and bulging discs, etc. You said degenerative joint disease. Any kind of degeneration or bulging discs, those are signs that your body's breaking down. It's not building proteins. So making sure that you're getting enough protein and then making sure you're getting your ultimate EFAs, essential fatty acids, are very important. You might also want to throw in the glucogel caps, which of course are made with glucosamine as well as amino acids, building blocks for building tissue. And you might want to consider as well the digestive enzymes taken on an empty stomach. The ultimate enzymes on an empty stomach are really neat because they can get you some anti-inflammatory benefits. And as long as you got some inflammation in your joints, you're not going to be able to do anything about your degenerative joint disease or the bulging discs. So keeping inflammation down is real important. So Mighty 90, essential fatty acids, more protein, glucogel caps, ultimate enzymes. Those are all great strategies. And don't forget to mention to your doctor that you want to wean yourself off as quickly as possible, as quickly as he sees fit. Wean yourself off that warfarin and maybe even switch to some of the newer prescription drugs that aren't quite as toxic as the warfarin is. Warfarin is the same drug as Coumadin. Thanks for your call, Patricia. God bless and good luck. I hope everything works out for you. Who's next, Douglas?
Let's head to Union City, Tennessee. And Joe, you're on with Pharmacist Ben Fuchs.
Hey, Joe.
Yes, Dr. Douglas. I have got to have some eye problem. Eyes getting weaker.
Okay. Your eyesight's getting weaker, you mean?
Yes.
Okay, well that's par for the course as we get older. The muscles start to weaken. Eyesight and how we adjust our eyes to near and far, nearsightedness and farsightedness, it all depends on muscle structure inside the eyes. Muscles pull on the on the lens, and the lens tightens and loosens up as is needed. And as we get older, that little muscle starts to break down. Same idea. Same thing happens that we were talking about with Patricia. The body just starts to break down under conditions of nutritional deficiencies as well as poor lifestyle choices. Hang tight. We'll finish up when we come back from our break. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program. Got more good health information coming at you right after this. Please don't go away. All right, we're back on the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program. Pharmacist Ben sitting in for Doc and Doug Winfrey. We're talking to Joe. Is Joe still on the line there? Hello, Mr. Joe. Mr. Joe, where are you? Joe? Did we lose Joe? Hello? Hello?
I'm here.
Joe, all right. Where are you calling from, Joe, first of all?
Union City, Tennessee.
Union City, Tennessee. All right. I love that country. Tennessee is beautiful in the springtime. Anyway, so you got some eye problems. Here's a couple ideas for you. Are you diabetic at all? Got any blood sugar problems? No. Okay, good. No. That's a good thing. All right. Well, you still want to restrict your intake of fast-burning carbohydrates and sugars and breads and pastas. Keep that down because that's an inflammation food. And once you get inflammation in those small muscles, that's where you're going to start to run into problems with degeneration. So keeping your sugars down is important, and eating more protein is important as well. Get yourself on the Slender FX or on the Nature's Way or any of those longevity proteins. Those are going to help you, and that'll also help wean you off of the sugary foods, and the sweet foods. And keep in mind, when I say sweet foods, I'm including breads and pastas, which aren't, you don't think of them as necessarily being sweet foods, but once they break down, they do turn into sugar, and that can be a problem. So eating more protein, get on the Slender FX, wean yourself off of the breads and the pastas. That's step number one. Mighty 90, that goes without saying. The essential fatty acids can be really helpful for the eyes. And then the Vision FX is also a really neat eye product. I'd be using that. And then try the Sweeties as well. Sweeties can help stabilize sugars and help the body process sugars too, and that can keep inflammation down in the area of the muscle. And then last but not least, if you get on YouTube, you can look up eye exercises, and that can help strengthen the muscle also. So focus on degeneration of the muscle in the eye using the Vision FX and using the Mighty 90, which include the ultimate essential fatty acids, which can be really helpful for helping support muscle tissue. And then keeping your sugars down, using more protein, and then Vision FX as well. Thanks for your call. Appreciate it. Joe in Union City, Tennessee. Who's next on the line, Douglas?
Well, let's head to Ontario. And Jim, you're on with Pharmacist Ben Fuchs.
Hi, good afternoon.
Hey there, what's up?
Cold weather here. I hope it's warmer at your place.
It's about 60 degrees and sunny. Does that count?
Pardon?
I say it's 60 degrees and sunny. Does that count? I didn't mean to rub it in, but I just
No, it's minus 10 about here. About minus 10 here.
Are you kidding? Where are you?
Well, in Ontario, in Mississauga, close to Toronto.
When does spring start in Toronto or in Ontario?
This year, never.
Never.
They think they said in maybe another week or 10 days, then the temperature will go above zero, So
above zero. Oh my God.
Yeah.
All right.
But anyway, I'm calling for my wife. Now she had a stroke 6 years ago, and that was not too bad. She got a year later. She got a stroke. And that was really bad. She was in the hospital for 4 weeks. Now, she recovered from that pretty good. And later on, she got her license back and so on and so forth.
She got her license? She's driving again?
Yeah, she was driving in. Well, we have moved from Niagara Falls to Toronto. We had to sell our house because... Anyway...
She's doing good, though.
About a year and a half ago, all of a sudden, she could not stand on her right leg anymore because of her ankle. Her ankle was weak. Went to the doctor, took an X-ray in the hospital. The doctor said, well, she didn't think it was arthritis, but the doctor said, yes, it's arthritis. So she ended up with an ankle brace, but still it is sore.
Okay.
And, she does walk with the walker. I go behind her with the wheelchair.
Okay.
But many times it's still sore. Now, because, of course, that she had the stroke, she's been sitting long periods during the day.
Okay.
She has hemorrhoids, and we were using a product for a while called, Anusol, HC.
Okay, I know what that is. That's just basically numbs the area.
Right.
So let me give you some ideas here, because it sounds like there's a lot of stuff going on. First of all, I don't want you to feel like you can't do any exercise simply because she has a stroke. Even just standing up and then sitting down again can be considered an exercise if you do it correctly. So she's sitting down in a chair, she's sitting down on a couch. If she manages to get into a standing position by putting pressure on her feet and on her ankles as she's coming up into a standing position, she does it real slowly, maybe takes 10 seconds or 15 seconds to go from sitting to standing by putting pressure on her feet, on her toes, and on her ankles, on the lower part of her body. That's a great exercise right there, and it'll take all of 10 or 15 seconds. Then doing the same thing going back down. Just go back down real slowly. So that's first of all. You got to build the tissue up, and the body's not going to build tissue, and it sounds like she's degenerating, and that means her tissue's not building, then the body's not going to build up tissue if there's no stress on it. It doesn't need to do it. It's not going to do it. So if you're trying to build up muscle and build tendons and cartilage in the ankle, and she's sedentary, she's sitting down all the time, it's just going to be very, very difficult to build tissue. So she's got to put some kind of stress on that ankle. Not too much, but just enough. Then she needs to do the same thing that we talked about with Patricia and Joe, our last two callers. Restrict your intake of the fast-burning sugars and carbohydrates. That means bread and oats and grains and potatoes and rice, the food we all love. Keeping fruits, fruit juice, desserts, keeping your intake of those foods down and replacing them with protein. So important, because what we're trying to do here is we're trying to build up tissue, not just in the ankles, but also in the blood vessels in the circulatory system, because she's got a history of stroke as well. So making sure she's getting more protein, the Slender FX, and restricting her intake of the fast-burning carbohydrates. She still needs to get her vegetables. When I say restricting intake of carbohydrates, I'm not including vegetables there. Vegetables are all day, morning, noon, and night. Veggies, 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 veggies. You can't get enough veggies. But restricting intake of carbs means breads and pastas and grains and fruits and fruit juices and desserts, most importantly. Certainly soda pop and that kind of stuff, candy, that goes without saying. Mighty 90, absolutely. You should be doing that today. Your wife is breaking down, and she's breaking down fast. It's not going to turn around until you do something different, and that means if you're not on the Mighty 90, get on it today. You probably want to throw in the Osteomag as well. And then the sweeties, it wouldn't be a bad idea to add in some sweeties too. And then personally, if it was me, I'd be using the Ultimate Daily also. Now, I said to Patricia, I said to Joe, I'll tell you as well. The Ultimate enzymes are awesome anti-inflammatories. In fact, we were talking about pain earlier, Doug. I forgot to mention the Ultimate enzymes are great pain relievers if you have inflammatory pain. They don't have the same kind of pain relief properties that an opiate drug does, like Vicodin or Percocet would have, but they do have anti-inflammatory pain relief benefits. So you won't be dizzy, you won't be woozy, you won't be sleepy, but you'll get pain relief from the reduction in the inflammation, and that's if you take your Ultimate enzymes on an empty stomach. In addition to using the Ultimate enzymes with food, that's always going to be important. If your wife has any digestive problems, I should tell you, you're going to want to support the digestive system as well with the BioLumin Nightly Essence and using those digestive enzymes, using her digestive enzymes with meals. As far as the hemorrhoids go, think circulation. Anybody out there, not just for you, my friend, but anybody listening, if you got hemorrhoids, you got a circulatory system problem. Hemorrhoids and varicose veins, actually hemorrhoids are a type of varicose vein. They're a hemorrhoidal version of varicose veins, or you could say it the other way around. Varicose veins are hemorrhoids of the legs. They're all signs that the vein system, the circulatory system, is starting to get clogged up and blood is not moving as correctly as it should. Certainly, sedentary lifestyle can complicate matters, so just doing a little bit of exercise can be good. But using the Mighty 90, making sure that she's keeping her inflammation down by keeping those problem foods down, that's going to go a long way. And then last but most certainly not least, if she's got any food allergies or food intolerances, those need to be eliminated. Varicose veins and hemorrhoids are oftentimes associated with constipation, and constipation is often associated with problems with gluten, grains, dairy, and other food allergens and food intolerances. Thanks so much for your call. Appreciate it. Hope we helped you out. And let's see if we can get one more call in before break. What do you say, Douglas?
We're just about at break time.
We're just about at
a minute
break.
away here.
Okay, so then we won't take another call. Our number is 831-685-1080 or 888-379-2552, toll free. I'll take this moment to remind you guys, if you're in the Bay Area, I'd love to see you at the Vintage Faith Church this Friday, March the 7th at 6:30 p.m. We're going to talk about how you hack into the biosystem, get into the body to rearrange biochemistry using nutritional strategies, nutritional supplements, the longevity supplements, as well as lifestyle strategies. So that'll be this Friday, March the 7th, 6:30 p.m. at the Vintage Faith Church in Santa Cruz, California. All right, we're going to take a break. Our number is 831-685-1080 or 888-379-2552. You are listening to the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program on the CBS Radio Network. All right, we are back on the Dead Doctors Don't Lie program. Got a couple more minutes if you'd like to get on board. Our number is 831-685-1080 or 888-379-2552. Who's next on the line, Doug?
Let's head to Lexington, North Carolina. And Pamela, you're on with Pharmacist Ben Fuchs.
Yes, thank you. I had a question. It's in reference to my husband. He is severely schizophrenic and wondered if you could offer any advice or tell me about some of the products that may work.
Absolutely. A couple things. First of all, schizophrenia, I always think of gut bacteria and digestive health issues first and foremost. Does he have a history that way of gluten intolerance and digestive issues?
He does have some problems with, he does have a lot of heartburn and all. He does have that. And
that
it's
counts.
Just being sent.
That counts as a digestive issue. So you want to focus on that's the first thing, is focus on the digestive system. I'm going to give you a whole bunch of nutrients that you can take, but as long as he's got this digestive breakdown and bacteria starting to secrete stuff into the bloodstream and poisons are getting into the system through the digestive tract, he's going to have a hard time even if he does use nutritional supplements. So first and foremost, focus on food intolerances, food allergies, food digestive problems, and then eliminate those foods. Then you might probably, in my opinion anyway, get on the Biolumin Nightly Essence as well as the digestive enzymes. Biolumin Nightly Essence also can be effective for kids who have autism, by the way. There's a really neat book called The Gut and Psychology Syndrome, GAPS, that you might want to check out, the Gut and Psychology Syndrome. And it's all about something called the GAPS diet, GAPS diet. And that's got some good information there about fermented foods and digestive health and schizophrenia and autism. That's step number one, focus on the digestive system, use the Biolumin Nightly Essence and the digestive enzymes and eliminate problem foods. And then the essential fatty acids are really important for all mental health issues, and those are the ultimate EFAs, as are the B vitamins. In fact, the B vitamins can be thought of as your brain vitamins. B for brain, or it can also be B for building, because the B vitamins are also involved in building things in the body. And the best way to get your B vitamins is going to be through the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. In fact, as great as the Beyond Tangy Tangerine is in terms of the fruit and vegetable powders and the wonderful colloidal plant-derived minerals, my favorite ingredients in the Beyond Tangy Tangerine and my favorite feature of the Beyond Tangy Tangerine is the high concentration of B-complex vitamins. It's so important, you guys. B vitamins not only are important for the brain and they're not only important for building things in the body, they're important for cell energy. That means they're important for everything, including sugar metabolism and helping the body process all the bread and pasta and grains and desserts that we tend to like so much. The Beyond Tangy Tangerine is loaded with the B complex, and that's super important. You know, the thing about these water-soluble nutrients, remember there's two kinds of nutrients. You have your fatty nutrients and you have your water-soluble nutrients. Not only are the water-soluble or the B vitamins so important for brain health, but they're also water-soluble, which means that every time you urinate, every time you go to the bathroom, you lose these B complex vitamins. Now think about it. If you got these vitamins and they're by definition so essential that without them you die. So that's how important these things are, the B vitamins. And if you urinate, if you lose them every time you go to the bathroom, every time you urinate, and you don't replace them, that means you're running serious risks for deficiencies in these things. And deficiencies in the B vitamins can cause digestive health issues. They can cause skin health issues. They can cause immune health issues. They can make you more likely to get colds frequently. God forbid, they can make you more likely for you to even get diseases like cancer and other degenerative diseases. B vitamin deficiencies are the number one cause of heart disease. And think about it now. You're going to the bathroom, like most folks, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times a day. If you're drinking water, you're probably going more than that. And every time you go, you're draining these B vitamins out of your system. And if you're not replacing them, you can be in big trouble. And not only is this tragic just on its own, but it's extra tragic. It's super tragic because it's so easy to replace these things. Get yourself on the Beyond Tangy Tangerine. Don't wait a day. Get on it now. It'll cost you $50 a canister. It is the best $50 you will ever spend. Your heart will love you, your body will love you, and your brain will love you too. In fact, when you throw in the essential fatty acids and you throw in your OsteoFX product, that's your Healthy Start pack. You can start yourself a business. You can feel better as well. Whole thing will cost you $100, a little over $100 a month. It'll cost you about $3 or $4 a day, less than $4 a day to get on this whole system. Plus, you'll have yourself a little business to boot. How do you like that? And that's all we got to say today. Thanks so much for listening, folks. I'm Pharmacist Ben for Doug Winfrey and for Doc Wallach and all the folks at the ZBS Radio Network. Have a wonderful, awesome, tremendous, beautiful day. We will talk to y'all later. Bye for now.